Death Knights are the first hero class to be introduced into the World of Warcraft game series. Now, what exactly is a Death Knight? It's kind of hard to explain, really. It's kind of like, let's say a warrior, a paladin, and a warlock all kind of had a three-way orgy. That would be the illegitimate child from that. Yeah, I know. The Death Knight class starts off at level 55 in a place called Ebon Hold, which is kind of like an instance in a way. The reason it's set up like this is because this area will actually change 3 or 4 times before you finally get out of the beginning area. Now, you actually start off with 0 talent points, but you do get them back at the rate of 1 per completed quest. So by the time you get out of Ebon Hold, you'll have enough talent points to do what you need to do. Okay, and a little bit about the Death Knight gameplay and their abilities and specs. It's a warrior type class, therefore it wears plate armor. It starts off with a 2-handed weapon, but of course it can dual wield later on down the line. Now you wind up with your epic mount at level 55 to 56. It all depends on basically whenever you get the quest turned in. Now the Death Knight also starts off with an ability called Death Grip, which in my opinion is the coolest move I have ever seen on this damn game. The range is insane, and basically all you do is grab them and drag them over to you. Now this is great if you are a Death Knight, not so great if you're not, because they have the uncanny ability to grab something you was getting ready to hit and drag it out from in front of you and then rip it to pieces while you watch. So yeah, just be ready for that. Now what kind of things should you be looking for if you're going up against a Death Knight? Well, let's just say it's going to be interesting. Number 1, mages, priests, and all of the casting type classes are going to despise these things. They start off with 2 different ways to silence you and interrupt spell casting, and they gain more as it goes along. Now if it's a Blood Elf Death Knight, they even have an extra one because of the fact that the Arcane Torrent cooldown has been removed. Other things you may want to look for whenever you're going up against a Death Knight is the fact that they have an ability almost identical to the Warrior's Retaliation move, which has the spinning swords around them, except that they do it automatically whenever they get below 20% health. So that could definitely prove to make ganking just a little bit difficult. Also, the Unholy spec has the ability to resurrect themselves as a ghoul when they die. However, this only lasts for, I believe it's 40 to 45 seconds, in which case they die anyway. But, in a rather unique twist, you can blow yourself up like a bomb and make sure you take out whatever it is you're fighting. Did that a few times. Okay, now let's discuss the different specs you're going to run into with a Death Knight as well. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is easily my personal favorite. I don't care what anybody else says, Unholy owns. Alright. Number 1, you can raise dead, which means that you actually turn a humanoid into a ghoul to fight for you. Now the ghoul's fighting style reminded me a lot of Felguard. That was just it gives you a buff to your mount speed increase. It actually makes you go faster than a Ret Paladin does. You get these AoE barriers that go around you that makes it very, very difficult for them to kill you. You can summon a gargoyle to come fly overhead and fight with you, and of course the coolest move I think they've ever come out with was a corpse explosion, where you can actually blow a corpse up, as long as it's humanoid, of course, and if a mob or an ally is anywhere near it, they know. Next we're going to talk about Blood Spec. Now the reason that this one here is going to wind up being so popular is the fact that most of the moves that you do under this spec heal you as you're fighting. Now you get a lot of other different abilities that go along with it. A lot of people talk about the fact they don't like as much downtime. Well, I didn't hardly have any downtime with Unholy, but that's besides the point. One of the coolest abilities that I found under Blood Spec was the fact that you get these bloodworms that have a chance to spawn under certain conditions in battle and constantly attack whatever it is you're fighting, and whatever life they take from the mob or ally you're fighting goes back to you. You're nearly unkillable. And last, we're going to talk about Frost Spec. Now, before you get any bright ideas, no, it has very little in common with the Mage's Spec. Hardly any at all. Most of the abilities you're going to run into, of course, are ice-based abilities. But it's mostly suited more toward aggro management. So basically what you're going to be looking at here is the Death Knight tanking spec, like Prot on Pally or Warrior. Honestly, I wasn't overly impressed with it, but you know, to each their own. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to like this.